All right, 6:32 here on this Thursday morning. A new blow yesterday to Joe Biden's vaccine mandate. OSHA suspending the enforcement of the rules for companies with over 100 employees while it remains tied up in court. It's going to be that way till they figure it out in court.
Florida GOP Congressman Michael Waltz is here to react. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Hey, good morning.
So this means we keep hearing that the president is going to tell all these big companies with 100 people or more, you have to get vaccinated, and the courts are saying you can't do that.
Well, I think the courts did the Biden administration a huge favor on this one.
Yeah.
Because we were on the verge of massive shutdowns. I mean, on top of the supply chain crisis, on top of the labor shortages, COVID in overseas factories, you were going to have railroads laying off people, ports laying off people. It was just about to take these existing disaster and just pour fuel on the fire. But the courts rightly stepped in. It was completely unconstitutional what he was trying to do. It was a total reversal of what he said just a few months prior. And I think at least for the holiday season, this will be a stay.
Well, and see, that's the key. If the Biden administration had their way, the vaccine mandate would kick in for everybody. But the court said, hey, wait, we don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, no, that's right. The court said we don't think you can do that. There's a stay in place, and OSHA has now said, okay, we're not going to reinforce. But I think there's a lot of people, particularly in Biden's economic team, who are breathing a sigh of relief.
Absolutely. Right, because they have not thought about the next day. What if the cops don't all get vaccinated? What if these businesses don't all do this? What if they can't afford to do this?
What if the airlines shut down?
Which is happening to TSA. So the things that not the OSHA category, I get it.
Right.
OSHA's private business. But the other mandates, we've lost nurses, cops, firefighters, TSA workers.
The ones that were heroes.
By the way, you really think American and Southwest just had problems with wind? Yeah. They've had problems with people, and they're all telling us that. And here comes this thing called Thanksgiving. The other big story that's going to be right in your lap soon, you're going to be voting on, and I know how you're going to vote, is this reconciliation package the president's going to jam down America's throats. And a lot of moderates said, I won't vote for it until the CBO scores it.
Right.
And already they're working the refs, getting everybody ready for a bad CBO score. Andrew Bates is a White House Deputy Director of Rapid Response. He's letting everyone know the CBO really doesn't know what they're doing.
CBO does not have experience analyzing revenue amounts gained from cracking down on wealthy tax cheats who are taking advantage of every honest taxpayer.
So that's how they're going to pay for it, tax cheats.
So right. But, you're talking about 85,000 IRS agents. That's 8 divisions in the military.
Do you really think they're just
double the size?
They're going to go after everybody
of the IRS. So, but what you're going to see Pelosi do, she's doing it right now, is tell her moderates, progressives, everybody in her caucus, add in everything that you need to just get the votes, knowing that it's going to fail in the Senate, so she can just flick it. You're going to see Washington's biggest flick. Right over to Schumer. The parliamentarian there is going to tear it apart.
On immigration.
And then the moderates are going to, they're going to pull out the amnesty provisions. They've already said the SALT provisions are dead on arrival. The Hyde Amendment, which are the abortion law pieces, are dead on arrival. But she just wants to get it off her plate and declare success.
So when it gets to the Senate, they're going to take a bunch of stuff out, too. What's going to be left?
Well, that's right. And then if whatever they change then has to come back to the House. So fortunately for the country, Build Back Stupid, as I'm calling it, is not BBS is not in good shape because it's just going to be devastating.
How can we afford it with inflation?
Well, we can't, right? We had $1 trillion unspent from COVID when Biden came in. They passed 1.9 on top of that, 5 now that they're trying to pass on top of that. And by the way, we're not even talking about the keep the lights on part of the government, the normal part of the budget, which is about $1.5 trillion on top of all of that.
And I don't think Mitch McConnell is going to bail out the Senate again when it comes to raising the debt ceiling after he got ridiculed by Senator Schumer to begin with.
Which is right after Thanksgiving.
That was a favor to jump in.
And meanwhile, nothing else is going on. Our defense budget hasn't been touched now for months because all of this stuff is on pause. Not much going on there in terms of China, Russia.
What's your prediction for midterms?
Oh, it's
you're going back to majority.
Please.
Yeah.
We're going to fire Pelosi, send her back to her ice cream, and get this country back on track.
Let her solve our own homeless problem.
You've described a very depressing view of what's going on in Washington, D.C., but how about what happened here in this room last night with the Patriot Awards?
Well, I had the real honor to come down and support a longtime Green Beret friend and colleague, Scott Mann, who founded Task Force Pineapple. My congressional office was heavily involved in getting our allies out, getting our Americans out. They're still going at it right now. He's on the phone this morning with people still getting our allies out. So that was a real honor to me. Scott saved my life by sending in the United States Air Force when I was completely surrounded by the Taliban in 2005.
He's still saving lives.
And he's still saving lives. Everybody in that room runs to the sound of gunfire, puts on that badge and belt every day, knowing the dangers that they're getting into.
What happened?
But to see their families recognized was just...
What happened to you? Tell us your story.
Well, we were completely surrounded by the Taliban. Scott called me on a satellite phone and said, we just intercepted the Taliban. They believe they can overrun your position. They want to capture you. I was the commanding officer at the time. They had a bounty on my head, and he said, get your head down, brother. I'm sending in half the Air Force.
Wow.
And it looked like apocalypse now. But without him, and he stayed on the phone with me for 3 days as we...
Marcus Luttrell has a similar story. The lone survivor.
We fought our way out. That's the caliber of people that Fox is celebrating.
And they're now out. They don't have the uniform on, but they have to help out. Yes or no? Is the State Department making things harder to get people out?
Harder.
Is that unbelievable?
Harder.
The U.S. State Department, that's hurting us.
That's what our veterans are struggling with. Many of them have quit their jobs, exhausted their savings.
Remortgaged their house.
Remortgaged their house. I know several of their marriages are now failing because they're not going to let this go, Brian. I'm not going to let this go. As long as I am in Congress, I will hold these people accountable. I won't let it go. I won't quit. Ever.
It's the biggest story for so many people. And in Virginia, you saw what happened in the elections because we've got Virginia Beach there. We have so many SEALs there. We have so many military there. And this was such a big issue.
The Gold Star mothers that we were talking to last night from the 13, it's not just that level of grief. It's their level of anger. Because they shouldn't have been there. Those 13 shouldn't have been where they were. They should have been with us last night. They are celebrated as veterans.
They're sad, but they are angry.
Yes.
Congressman, thank you very much for making the trip out here.
Thanks.
Appreciate your service.
And
that's your table from last night. It's right there.
Hey, go ahead.
All right, let's do it over again.